So this is the part 2 where we speak about Final Fantasy X Part 2. I will just say before we start, I do pronounce it Tidus. I know it's supposed to be Tidus. I can't call him Tidus. It doesn't feel right to me. Reading in the English language, the way that we would pronounce it, the way it feels natural to pronounce it is Tidus, and I feel like it's nice because the references to the sun and moon, tide like water, the tide coming in. I feel like it's a nice poetic sort of name for that. But yes, I do apologise to those who would prefer me to call him Tidus as is proper, but I'm sorry. While I'm speaking, it will be Tidus. I also apologise. I will apologise multiple times if my Yorkshire accent slips through. I'm trying very hard to keep it at bay so people can understand me a bit better. I need to stop with the ums as well. I'll get better at that. So, moving on, 10 part 2. Yeah, I think I loved it. It took me a lot of getting used to. It was a bit different from the first. The tone was different. The whole girl power vibe, the lack of males in the team. Although saying that, with the monster system, you could recruit like Brother, and you could catch Tidus and Seymour and the others to use, but the characters for the story, it was girls, and it was girl power. It was fun. Now, I think that has its good and bad elements, but for me, understanding Yuna, understanding the plight in the first one, understanding how it was difficult for her to change her mindset. She went out to die. She knew she was going to die. She was willing to sacrifice herself. She gave up her youth, her self, I guess, to be the ultimate summoner. She wanted to be the martyr for the people. And in 10 Part 2, she's found herself without that anymore. She's living her life how she wants to live, and I think it's really nice to see that she can shift from summoner to just Yuna, living out her dream, her youth. She wants to find Tidus, she wants to live for her, and I think it's great. I think it's actually it makes sense when you think of it like that. She's not shirking her responsibilities, but she's sort of saying, I've done my bit. Let me have some time for me, live this life I never thought I'd get to live. And she's having fun with it, she's looking for Tidus, and if she finds him, she finds him. That's the aim of the game. But I feel like she's more enjoying the journey as she goes along, and I think the whole girl power aspect of it was necessary for her to reclaim her youth, to have fun, girls be girls. I enjoyed that. Okay, the Sailor Moon power scenes, changing into the different dress spheres. It was fun, it was quirky. I suppose it's off-putting for the male population, unless they're very not bothered by that kind of thing. My husband isn't able to find himself to play the game. He's seen enough to know it's not for him. I was able to, look at it for what it was. There's some cringy parts, there's some questionable parts, and when you think a little bit further into Yuna's character, the development she's gone through, I think it was necessary for her to reclaim her youth, to have that time that she was giving up, basically, she never thought she'd have for herself. I think it was important for her to get that back. The story actually can be have some darker undertones. It does take us back to like the first one, the story of Vegnagun, and it all gets dark. I enjoyed, again, I'm a sucker for romance. I thought it was a really, really tragic story for Shuyin and Len. I'd really like to know more about their story. I wish they could have given us some more cutscenes or gone into that a little bit further. But I really enjoyed those. The songs were banging. I love the songs. They're on my phone. But yeah, I feel like if you give the chance the game a chance, overlook the overly girly, cringy start to it when it sort of gets a bit more serious later on, and you sort of overlook some of the in your face girl power elements. I do think it was a fun game. There's a lot to do to get the nice ending, but I feel like it's not a Final Fantasy game if you don't have to plough hours in, do all the side stuff. Again, it took a bit of a diversion. I think one of the people sort of comments or complaints for the original ones that it's quite linear. You're forced into the story up until a certain point, and then only then can you deviate and do the other stuff. But I feel like 10 had a nice balance of that between doing the story and then having the optional stuff. I don't know about other people, but I find it a bit overwhelming. Like, I love the Zelda games, but particularly on the new ones in the open world, it's like, here you go, have at. There's this to do, that to do, the other to do, and I find it so overwhelming that I'm sort of stood there for 10 minutes thinking, right, where do I start? That's just me. I suppose not everybody's wired that way, but you know, I find it quite difficult to sort of get started. When I'm started and I'm on, you know, I'm on a roll with things, it's a lot easier to do. But with Final Fantasy X, I find it, by the time you get to the point where you can go off and do the side quests, you're so well equipped and so used to the game that it's not so much of a chore, it's a joy. I won't mention the mini games to get the ultimate weapons. I have completed all of them in my own time. They were difficult at times. The rage quitting I did, you know, 199 lightning bolts, that did happen to me. The 0.01 seconds for the balloon race, that also happened to me. Kamari's butterfly rage-inducing mini-map thing, you running around the woods in part 1. Yes, I did that too. It took me quite a few attempts. Eventually I had to memorise the route that you had to take in order to complete it, because I failed it so many times trying to do it naturally that yes, I did have to look up the best route to take to avoid the red butterflies. But yes, I returned to 10 part 2. I to this day, I don't recall ever making it to the 100th floor. I think I got very close. I think I got 90 something, and oh wait, no, I think I did that recently actually. 2 years ago. I think I did actually revisit that. I've got foggy brain because I had a baby 9 months ago, so you know, things happen. But yeah, I do actually think I eventually, only 2 years ago, actually made it to the bottom of that labyrinth. I needed a lot of help, and it took a lot of training up and equipment hunting. I think I did need some help to get to that point. I would never have been able to get to it without online help guides, a bit of practice, and a lot of rage quitting. But yeah, eventually I got there. I could never get my husband to take up the challenge. Like I say, he just can't quite get over the girly aspect. He said the game's not for him. I'd love to get him to try and do the more challenging parts later on, but he'd have to overcome his fear of the girl power. It's strong. It's strong in this game, isn't it? But again, I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts. You know, anything I've said maybe convinced anyone to give it a try, whereas perhaps before they wouldn't. Or maybe it's still a big no. Or maybe, like me, you can overlook the really girly parts and enjoy it for what it is, and you know, just think it's one of those games that you have to enjoy in its own right again and pretend it's not a Final Fantasy game. I'm curious to hear yet again